I warmly welcome you all to this talk. I'm glad to have you all on board. The title of the talk is Let's Code in Our Mother Tongue, the story behind the design and implementation of an African based native programming language. My name is Anu, and I'm a Yoruba man. You may wonder, what is Yoruba? Don't worry, I'll get to that in a minute. I'm also an Android engineer that works for a consulting firm in Thailand. Today, I'm going to be talking about programming from a non native speaker's perspective. People from nearly every language are learning programming, and yet the majority of mainstream programming languages, documentations, libraries, and instructional materials are in English. So it begs the question, what barriers do non native English speakers face when learning English based programming languages and resources? Let's talk about the barriers for a minute. One barrier that I have personally noticed is reading instructional materials. It can be quite challenging to understand tutorials and documentations that will aid a non-native speaker to get started with a given programming language. They have to struggle with learning English and the concepts of programming simultaneously. Programming is daunting. Having to learn another language while trying to grasp it makes it even more difficult. Another barrier I've noticed is technical communication. When they finally get started, like every beginner, they get stuck at different junctures. It then becomes difficult for them to communicate their issues technically, so others can help them on platforms like Stack Overflow. So they might end up finding themselves being blocked over something that is perhaps very trivial. While some non-native speakers will endure until they begin to thrive in the world of programming, others will begin to feel like they are stuck in a rut and eventually quit programming. Many attempts have been made to address this problem. For example, some popular English based programming languages have been translated to various native languages. Also, some try to use culturally agnostic code in their documentations. While these attempts do move the needle forward, it doesn't change the fact that to really become good at programming, you need to learn the language the ecosystem speaks English. All non native English programmers have to come to terms with this fact. However, just because we have to understand English doesn't mean we have to think about how to solve problems in English. This became more apparent to me when a colleague of mine jokingly said to me that it would be cool if we could have a Yoruba based programming language that could perform a basic print operation. Yes, Yoruba once again. I did promise to talk about this at the beginning of the talk. Yoruba is a native language spoken by over 45 million people in West Africa. I am proudly one of those 45 million people. I am a Yoruba man. My colleague suggested to call the print operation in his imaginary programming language Sokpe. A simple print hello world command would thus be Sokpe Bawo ni aye in this native based programming language. As I listened to his suggestion, I found it funny. However, it also reminded me that seeing something in my mother tongue gives me a strong sense of belonging. I started to think about what my colleague had jokingly suggested. The more I thought about it, the more I saw the reason why it's useful for people to see basic programming syntax in their mother tongue, especially when they are starting their programming journey. Personally, I think seeing basic programming syntax in one's mother tongue dispels the notion that programming is too mystical for one to get a hang of. So I set out to build the very first Yoruba native based programming language. I named it Yolang. The name is some sort of a double entendre, as it means Yoruba language. And most importantly, it means it's your language. It's our language, the Yoruba people's programming language. What can Yolang do? Yolang can't do much, but it is designed to write small programs that can run on the CLI using the Yoruba language constructs. Here are some popular programming keywords and their equivalents in Yolang. The equivalence for the print statements in Yolang is Sokwe, for variable declaration is Jerky, for conditional statements is She or Tabishe, for the for loop is Fun, for the switch loop is G, for while is Nigbati, for function it is the She, And for import, it is Biwali. Some of these names might sound strange to your ears, but perhaps you'll be able to feel the pain of a non-native speaker as well. So if you look to your right, you'll see a screenshot of how these syntax come together and work together. Shortly, I'm going to be switching to my editor so that we can do some live coding session and write a simple calculator program in Erlang. So give me a minute to switch. Good. Creating our calculator program by creating a file. Let's call it calculator.yl. YL is the extension for all Erlang programs. Then let's basically tell the user what the program is about with Sokwe, which is the print statement. Káàbọ̀ sí ètò ìṣiṣẹ́ ìṣirò. Basically, welcome to this calculator program. Then we'll give the user some instructions. Sọ pé tẹ̀lé ìtọ́ni tẹ àmì plus láti ṣe àròpọ̀. Basically, we are saying press plus if you want to do an addition operation. We'll repeat that for every other thing. Minus, times, and then we'll have division as well. Then we can call this Yokuro, that's minus. Isodi púpọ̀, that's multiplication. And pínpín, that's division. Then we'll go ahead and use a while loop. The equivalent for that in Erlang is basically nígbàtí. So by writing nígbàtí also, I'm basically saying while true. Then I'll use this variable declaration to receive the input from the command line. Tcb is the function used to receive input from the command line. So tẹ irú ìṣirò tó fẹ́ ṣe. Basically, tell me the kind of operation you'd like to perform. Then I'll take in the first number, which I'll call number àkọ́kọ́. So tcb will then be tẹ number àkọ́kọ́ síbí, right? Then I'll take in the second number by basically copying and pasting this. Then we'll replace àkọ́kọ́ with ìkejì. That's the name for second in Yoruba. I hope you're learning small Yoruba, by the way. Then we'll use a switch loop. The equivalent is yi in Erlang. And we'll be checking based on the operation, which we call AMI. The cases will be iru, and then we'll check if it is a plus. If it is a plus, then we are basically going to print the results to the user on the screen. Number àkọ́kọ́ plus number ìkejì. Then we'll repeat all of this for all the other operations that we have. And then we'll have a beautiful program in no time. All right. So this then becomes this becomes this, and this becomes this. In order to run this, we have to use something called YAL, and then we'll call the calculator the YL file. Then we have this, let's say we want to do a plus, 4 plus 3, that should give us a 7, a minus, minus 7 minus 6, that should give us a 1, multiplication, 8 times 9, 72, wonderful. And then a division, say that, 4 divided by 2, and there you have it. So let's talk about what some people have said about Erlang. I was able to gather some screenshots on Twitter, and someone said, I checked out this package. By package is referring to Erlang, and honestly, as a beginner, it was just so easy to understand. Another person says, funny enough, just by going through the Erlang docs, I'm learning more Yoruba. I'll call this reverse learning. Someone else said, this is just too awesome. Really? My grandmother would even love to learn this. Another person pointed out that so we can now think in Yoruba with Erlang. And all of these things just allude to the things I've already said before, that it gives people a strong sense of belonging, just saying something in their native tongue. Someone else said, my favorite bit of Erlang is definitely Bewole for imports. Another person says, please, Yoruba programmers, let's contribute our quota to the rise of our heritage. This person definitely feels as if they are part of something that is greater than they are. And someone else concluded by saying, I really believe that compiler extensions like Koro and dynamic lines like Yolang from anonymous coding are how to get more people into writing software. So I'm going to conclude with this. Yolang is a creative expression of my heart, more than it is in YouTube. My goal from the start is to inspire people, to let them see that programming is not beyond them, and to get them started to do the things or to dare to do the things that they originally thought was beyond them. Thank you.